Restarting the live stream here. Just had an issue with the title. Kind of held over from some of my testing yesterday. So hopefully this is a little bit better. Hopefully everybody can hear me. This is my first experience with a microphone or any sort of podcast or anything like this. So hopefully if and when somebody hops on, they can kind of give me an idea of how the sound is. I guess we'll go back over the overnight analysis and do that real quick since we had to end the other stream. So starting with the daily, we've had this sort of downtrend channel, if you want to talk about a retail concept, going back to Christmas Eve, really. And so it looks like we're starting to break out of that. We've already taken the high, which is hard. That's generally going to be a pretty big objective. And so when it does that overnight, it just makes a New York AM a little bit trickier. But we are displacing a little bit. I would fully expect to revisit all-time highs, at some point. Now, I come from a fundamental background, so I always have that in the back of my head. What is actually driving markets? What is moving markets? Because in my view, technical analysis explains how markets move, but not necessarily why they move. Which that may be heretical to my ICT folks. But fundamentals always drive. Fundamentals are why the market moves, and I think that's explained in ICT. I think he kind of beats around that bush a little bit, in that we're always looking for news drivers, right? We're always trading around news drivers. Well, why are we doing that? Because that's why the market moves, and then ICT explains how it moves. So that is always in the back of my mind. It's something that could potentially derail, and we've got tariff news kind of all over the headlines at the moment. And so that could be a pretty big party pooper down the line. But having said that, from what the charts are showing, when we're looking from a TA standpoint, I fully expect us to revisit all-time highs at some point in the next month or two. So what we want to see here, though, so on the daily, we're starting to have some bullish order flow. On 4 hour, we drop down, which is my 4 hour and 1 hour are really my preferred higher time frames, because I'm an intraday, more of a scalper. I'll do full pulls, but and the daily will affect that somewhat, but not. I just find that the 4 hour and the 1 hour are more prescient to what I'm looking for. And so on the 4 hour, we've been bullish. We actually just completed a market maker buy model here. Taken out this wick, but what does it look like when I pull this up? And I'll highlight this area here. What does that look like to everybody? It looks like we're starting to get a pretty good larger scale buy program. We've been in it, but it really is starting to look like that's where the market wants to go, right? Back up to this high. We have our little bit of consolidation. It's almost a wedge pattern. We have a dip out in the manipulation, and then a displacement higher. So what we'd expect from here, in credit to like T Trades, I think, his box setup, which is just really just an AMD. But what we should see here is a pretty good retracement before continuing higher, unless the market is just predisposed to higher prices and wants to run, then we may not get the retracement. But that's what we're going to be looking for this morning. We want to see a pretty good retracement. So short story long, I am bullish on the morning, but would certainly like to see a retracement first. ES looking weaker from the get right off the bat than NQ. So that kind of lends itself to potentially getting some SMTs. And so we'll be looking for those as confirmation as well, sort of a more confirmation, I guess. Pretty strong open. It's an interesting candle. But this is why I don't trade, again, in the first 10 minutes. because all the breakout guys were going long on this candle potentially, but then you still get a 40-point retrace. So it's not worth it in my view. And kudos to the guys who can trade the overnight. I don't, especially when it looks like this, like Lanto. I don't know how he does that. This just sort of slow grind. I mean, he's obviously exceptional in his ability to know where the market's going. But man, this slow grind is it's so hard for me to not get antsy in a trade in these sorts of conditions. Man, we are really ripping higher here. I was really hoping for a good retrace and take out some lows. That is not a good retrace right there. That is not good enough. I mean, we took a couple lows out, but that is not at all what I'm looking for. Let's see what ES is doing. Yeah, it's kind of looking ugly. What are we up so far? About 90 bips. Boy. And yeah, I mean, some days it just runs and runs and runs. I mean, I'd be surprised if today was one of those days. But some days are. They're like that where you just there's relatively few pullbacks, meaningful pullbacks, and you end up just having to play like 1 minute busies all the way up. And again, I don't see anything that would indicate today would be like that, but weirder things have happened certainly. And that's why remaining patient is just so important. You know, you don't be hunting for a trade. If you're hunting for a trade, you're gonna get wrecked. The best trades are the ones that just come to you, jump off the screen. Let's make sure we have our news center up here and see if anything's coming across. We are still in earnings season. With some earning calls going on this morning. I think we had some yesterday. NQ is looking ugly on the 5. There is technically a pretty good SMT off the bottom, but I mean, that's already, I don't know how you'd play that with that candle. And it's pre-market, so I'm not going to put a lot of stock in that. It's pretty brutal so far. But again, that's what happens when You take major objectives overnight. ES has been quite a bit stronger for a little while now. I think it's behooved you probably since the beginning of the year to play ES longs if that's what you've been looking for. ES longs and NQ shorts because ES has certainly been the stronger pair. It seems like most days. Let's see how that 22,000 psych level plays and see if it runs through or not. Again, I mean, NQ is just kind of starting to rip with nary a pullback. I did this sideways, I don't know what to do, garbage right here, and then just kind of kept on going. Okay, we'll have a pretty compelling 5-minute gap here forming in about 15 seconds or so. This could be an interesting retracement area. It's not a lot. But I am worried it may be the only thing we get if we just keep kind of grinding higher. 15-minute close as well, solidifying this gap down here and discount. So if you're uber bullish on the day, one thing you could play or look for is potentially a retrace into this 5-minute gap. Here, let me get the path. Oh, yeah. Potentially get a retrace down into this gap off of the CE, then head higher. A lot of times it'll do something like this. So if you're just pretty bullish on the day, not thinking we're going to have many opportunities for a retracement, this might be something to look for. That's on a 1 minute, really. You'd be looking for that on the 1 or 2 or preferred method of entry, time frame of entry. So would like to see this run back down, tap the CE, ideally stay above it, no closes below, indicating continued order bullish flow. And then my preferred entry setup is an inversion out of this gap with strong displacement back to highs. So I may be looking for that, but it's not as important as if it happens. Well, okay, well that's a Trump presidency right there, probably. You never know what's going to happen. What time is it? 9:02. That was crazy. Well, something's going on. If you're long, rip. Let's see what comes through, because that was a bananas candle. Oh, that was a big boy order, whoever that was. Oh. He has completely rebalanced that 5 minute, as did in Q. This is actually one of my favorite setups, not in this context, but a run through, or what looks like to be a run through an initial gap with a tap of the discount gap, or not even a discount, but the secondary gap. A lot of times this is a great turtle soup opportunity. Still waiting to see what that was about. Nothing coming through.
Peace out, Ben. I think I'm starting to win Ben over. You know, game respects game. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. Ba 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 ba. I don't know if I'll necessarily 104. I'm gonna partial a little bit, probably above 1 standard deviations. Not much. I'll just shave a little bit off and remove risk, and then try to hold for -2. But yeah, everything holding here looking good for now. Don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood. So far so good here. We have ES currently starting to push through these 1 minute highs. And NQ isn't there yet. Hopefully that SMT can fill. This would be bad news bears if this is a Drake candle down. No manipulation, no trade. Rita, I'm viewing this as the manipulation of this move. Possible distribution high.
Potential SMT off the top if it holds. Could be an interesting counter trend. Scalp for short. Let's take a gander. Let's get that out of the way. Yes, slightly weaker. What a slow day. Slow. What a slow day. Slow. And say goodbye to the SMT. What a slow day. Slow. What a slow day. Slow. 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 Slow.
I want to leave most of it for over 1 to 2. If I get this full -2 move, we'll be looking at a little over 1 to 3 in total. Obviously, with partials, it won't be quite that much. You have a soundboard with top step noises? No, I just turned the top step X sound alert thing on again. Pretty favorable close. We just haven't moved a whole lot of points really away. And sometimes if it is a little bit higher resistance, like it's a little bit tougher for me because I'm not usually one of those traders that likes to you know, I don't really do a whole lot of like risk trimming per se. My risk trimming would be like taking a partial. But it's like I'm kind of like I just want to go break even. I don't really do a whole lot of like some people will partial and then they'll like take like their stop loss and cut it in half. Or they'll put it below a structural low where they're like, no, we shouldn't go back below this. And then sometimes you'll see price still kind of chop back around. Like this could wick down into the gap again. You know, it could chop and still end up holding and going. You just have to maybe hold for the next 45 minutes. But I'm cool with if this comes back. I'd rather just get us to have that break even, I think. Yo, what's up? YNZ Trades. The draw is 22-174. 22-174. Really? I got 22-111 for the next draw here. You're a little bit higher than mine. I projected out this These levels, by the way, from the retracement on the 1 minute chart going into the first presentation for value gap after open, by the way. If anyone's curious where I'm getting these levels anchored from. So this buy side level is inside 2 to 2.5. And I'm not even requiring it to go all the way there. I'm just going to take it off at -2. It's so interesting. It's so funny how the indices do this. Like NQ, obviously, with that open, NQ is the only one going higher. ES and YM going lower. And now it's like it actually is starting to look like ES is starting to gain more relative strength as opposed to NQ, as we see like on this 1 minute chart, ES is putting in new highs before NQ is. I just think it's funny how it'll flip like that. Funny in a not funny way, you know what I'm saying? But hey, it's in the market maker's hands now for me. I'm break even, risk free. I'll possibly look to partial a little bit more here at -1.5. Otherwise, I'd like to hold, you know, over half the position to this -2. So that's my plan. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm in soft trades on Top Step X. I took one partial already. And yeah, I'm totally aware that this could come and chop around and still hold and then continue. I don't know. Those aren't really trades I care to really even be in, so I'm not too mad about. If I can stop that break even and it still plays out, nah, it's whatever. It's just the expectation that comes with really the first few days of this week. Someone said Trump speaks. Trump speaking at 11. Really? That's tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Trump speaks tomorrow at 11 at the World Economic Forum. I entered on this 5-minute candle here. After this candle closed, we traded back down into this gap. I was just monitoring it to make sure we weren't going to just, you know, get heavy and sell off. I'm probably about to get stopped at break even here.
Order filled.
Yeah, so I'm stopped at break even now. One little partial. Stopped at break even. Like I said, I think this could still end up holding, and this could just be, you know, chopping me out. My trade was choked because it's at break even. But it's all kind of fitting the expectation I had going into the day. So I mean, did it really just fucking bottom tick me out? I think this shit might have just bottom ticked me out. My stop was like 2 points in profit. It's gonna rip, isn't it? I'm almost certain it starts ripping now. It'd be better for my mental health if it didn't, but something tells me that it's going to. Yeah, no, Pellin, I understand the reasonings for wanting to be bearish. I'm usually in the same boat when we have just one straight move up. I'm usually in the same boat looking for a reversal. I would say this trade I took this morning is a little outside of the norm for me. But just going off of like what the last couple of weeks have done when we have opening range gaps that are as large as they are as today's, it's played out every other time so far, and we've talked about it on stream multiple times now at this point. So I'm just kind of going off of that theory. And it worked out. You know, we got a little move up, took a high, we hit -1, got a partial off there. But yeah, it's just choppy, man. This is the expectation for the day. And I think it's just important to have expectations, proper expectations, just so when market doesn't give you like the cleanest straight move, you know, you're not sitting here getting like extra emotional and like pissed off. And you're just like, why the fuck is NQ chopping? When in reality, it's like, yeah, kind of expected this. You know? Where did I see the opening range gap? You just click regular trading hours. So opening range gap here. And I'm just basing this off of like what ICT lectured about last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it's 2 weeks ago now. Anything over 120 points is generally just more continuation. And like I said, it's you know it's not 100%. Nothing in trading is 100% accurate. But since paying attention to that in the last 2 weeks, there has not been a day where that hasn't played out exactly like that. So 100%, no. Accurate, I would say signs point to yes. And you can see, you know, we've gone up 120 points since the open without any digs into the opening range gap. Maybe ES. Let's see if ES did. Yeah, ES didn't even. So I would say today's another example of it playing out. You know, a reversal will come at some point and we'll fill this gap in, whether that's this morning or most likely either PM session or even tomorrow. But yeah, I would expect more than likely to see this probably continue, but yeah, I'm out of that trade as of now. Got stopped at break even on this pullback. Not really interested in chasing it at this point. But I am still tape reading what it does from here. I'll delete the long tool so nobody gets confused and thinks it's a trade signal. Yeah, look at that. I mean, look at that -1 level just dead in its tracks. Just took a short, hit TP1 in 2 seconds. And it was so quick I couldn't partial. Then stopped at break even. And then Oscar says, in response to Dawson, sounds like you need a new gaming chair. What? That's true. A new chair does help with trade execution speed. I think I fucked up. I got this ergonomic chair, but I kind of wish I would have went with a Secret Lab or what's that called? Yeah, Secret Labs. A Secret Labs gaming chair just because they look so sick. You could have bought one if you took some profits there, yeah. Dawson, come on. If you would have had a gaming chair, a proper gaming chair, you could have taken some profits there and then bought another one. Shit like this make you want to quit your job. All right, I'm gonna check the heat map here. Refresh this old girl. Yeah, it's just not really moving a whole lot. Microsoft and Nvidia still up about the same. I think Nvidia might be up 1% more. Nvidia's up 4%. Microsoft up 2.8. A lot of things outside of NASDAQ are still break even or slightly red for the most part. But all in all, yeah, this position's still playing out. Again, kind of just tape reading it at this point. Didn't want to chase it. Or, get back in. I just kind of believe that, if I were to just get back in right away, then there was 0 point in me going break even. What would be the point of going break even and then just re-entering? That don't make any sense.
This is ugly, guys. It sounds like Trump is speaking at 11 Eastern, so I would imagine the market's just kind of collectively holding its breath. Trump to address Davos virtually Thursday at 11 Eastern. So this 5-minute gap is still holding NQ up. ES quite a bit stronger this morning. Well, I say quite a bit. That's relative because, we've kind of been going nowhere fast, just kind of a slow grind up. Yeah, I don't really think there's going to be anything going.
For 2 if you're still holding. If you got stopped at break even, don't type anything. Thanks, Oscar. Too late, OMFX. That's a week in the hot box. I don't know, Anthony. Harry Sisson said that's incorrect. He said the correct answer is there's at least 2 genders. What do you got to say about that? Yeah, man. It's just one of those days. Like it's one of those days where we just grind one direction. You know, it's not a whole lot of displacement really. As you guys can see, like there isn't any like inefficiencies being left. We're filling everything. Everything's being efficient in the sense of we close every possible inefficiency here. Now we're starting to pick up some speed. This is why I wanted to ask if anybody was still holding. But realistically, yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot different I would have done there. The only other different way that I would have considered maybe managing it, you know, I don't think I would have wanted to trim my stop loss like this. Just because I'm putting it, I would have been putting it below nothing in here, right? And the reality is we could trade back into that 5-minute inefficiency, chop around, wick, and then still respect. So the only other way that I would have been okay with managing that would have been like partialing off more to cover the cost of my stop loss and then leaving it open. But neither here nor there. We'll watch and see how this plays out, though. We'll give it till like the end of the hour. Two losses trying to sell. What PD array did you try shorting from? Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot. Aside from when we put in that initial SMT here, I don't know. Like even on this 1-minute chart, when we had that manipulation into that 5-minute gap, I don't know. You'd have to like drop down to like a 30-second. I feel like to have found, I don't know, like this bearish for value gap on a 30-second or something. But at that point, we're respecting a 5-minute bullish gap. So I feel like that kind of throws a wrench in that. But I understand the desire to want to see lower prices, though, considering obviously opening range gap, considering we have no manipulation below Asia, London. Really, since all yesterday, we've just been in a buy program. Um, why isn't crypto just pumping like the indices? Maybe Harry's system was right. Maybe we did get played. Speaking of boys, I don't know if anybody. Oh, peace out, Oscar. I don't know if anybody saw. Let me know. Let me know if you guys. Let me know if you guys can see. Well, hang on. Let me ask you this. Let me tell me what you see when I show you this. Oscar stuck around just to say Mia Khalifa, and then he's bouncing. But yep, Rita got it first. She saw it almost. He. Rita, are you? I'm just gonna ask you. Rita, are you a boy or a girl? I'm assuming girl. Your profile picture looks like a female silhouette. I went to high school with a girl named Rita, so that's why I say that. I apologize if you're of the males if you're of the male species, but yeah, Rita got it first. But technically, you all got it. I'm surprised you guys can see that. All right, you got Trump. Somebody noticed the dollar bill, but notice the pillow. Somebody said that's us. Where'd they say it? The cushion with us. That's actually the hardest one to see, so I'm most impressed probably with that actually. The cushion behind my dog on the couch is all of us. Now you guys know. See, I was thinking about yous. I was thinking about yous. My crypto, I don't think it's moved a whole lot. Yeah, it's like been hovering here for. I mean, you can even. It's been hovering here since. I mean, really, it's like been in this area for like a month, but it's at. That is where it is at currently. And I also missed. The Trump coin madness. I saw it got listed yesterday on Coinbase. I will not be purchasing it. But yeah, the little animations that I had made up, I told him to put a beach in the background. I said I'd prefer a beach because it's something different. And he sent back like a city skyline. And instead of waiting 2 more days for a revision, I just said, you know what, looks good enough. Fiverr, you know what I'm saying? These Fiverr guys. Slow grind, boys. Anybody know any good jokes? We got macro starting here in like 2.5 minutes. I'm just chilling and tape reading this the rest of the way. Moral support for the folks still holding. Why did the Tyler cross the road? I don't know why. I thought I missed a question up here. I'm scrolling up. I can't find it. I thought somebody was asking questions about top step time limits or something. We missed it because I was getting stopped at break even at that time. Or maybe I was entering, I don't remember. You're good, OMFX. You're the only one that dropped a joke, so. OMFX, where do you live? How do you turn soup into gold? Is this a turtle soup joke? Adding 24 carats. OMFX, is Venmo or Cash App available in Canada? In Pear, where are you from? You You don't think so? Hmm. They're both banned? You lying? You guys really do need to get adopted by the United States. Venmo not available. You're not joking. That's crazy. Wow. I was gonna send you in pair like fuck. Pairs from Kenya. I was gonna send you both $10 each because you were the only ones that dropped jokes. But I was only gonna do it if you guys had Venmo or Cash App. Not anymore though. Sorry. Not anymore. You don't got the right tools. I'm gonna keep my money and buy a Chipotle bowl. Anthony won't like that in the chat if he's still here. Yo, he said Chipotle was poison. What do you guys think? Is Chipotle poison? Is he saying that because of like the seed oils that are used to make some of the ingredients? Seed oils. Listen, I'm not gonna say that I am a health conscious person. I am. I take health serious. But I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. And maybe this means maybe this means I don't care enough. But I just don't. I'm not that worried about it. Like little stuff like that. Is that bad? I guess depending on who you ask, it probably is bad. Don't come back and say, "Oh, in 20 years you're gonna care, buddy." Yeah. See how those seed oils treat you. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we're gonna be so serious about little things, I don't want. Again, I don't want you to take that out of context. But it's like the people that are like, I won't touch a seed oil ever. You know, they're probably also the people that are like, won't have one sip of like a cold brew with their mates while watching a foosball game. And I gotta tell you, couldn't be me. We're watching some foosball, and you say, hey Tyler, you want a beer? I'm gonna say, do I want a beer? What do you think? Of course. You know what? Give me two. Is Harry Sisson a liberal? There you go. GTA Painter, no, I'm not in a trade. I was in a trade. I got stopped at break even. On this. Kind of anticipated this to happen, though. I said we could chop around. I could get stopped at break even. It could still eventually, like, work out. But I think it just kind of comes with the territory of today. Large opening range gap, expecting just continued expansion, which we've gotten. Obviously, no high-impact news today. World Economic Forum going on. And from market open to a slightly high resistant conditions with markets going opposite directions. So I'm not like, I don't know, too bothered by it. I'm just happy that took a good trade, read price correctly, had the correct expectation and anticipation. Took a stab, got a little bit of profit off it, and that's could be worse. Do you trade till 11 a.m.? Yeah, I'm pretty much done for the morning most of the time. Most of the time I'm looking to be done. Like I'll usually give price until like this upcoming macro that we're in right now, actually. So yeah, 11 a.m. New York, 11 a.m. macro. And to be honest, if I wasn't streaming with you guys, I'd probably have, as soon as I got stopped at break even, I probably would have hopped off and went to the gym. But I don't want to end the stream that fast. Hang out a little bit longer, chat with you guys. Yeah, generally, if I'm anticipating a setup to possibly happen at 11, then I'll give it to them if I need to. But obviously, in a perfect world, I'd love to catch a trade right at like silver bullet macro every day and be done within 15, 20 minutes. If I could BK have it my way every day, that's what I would choose. Can I do ICT outlook for Chipotle stock? Hang on, let me pull up Chipotle stock. I don't even know what the ticker is. CMG. What's this?
Guys, I'm kind of just leaving this up, waiting to see if anything's going to happen. We've just been in consolidation after the market open, about 20 minutes after market open. So, this 5-minute gap is going to be kind of compelling if we inverse it. But the problem is we've got Trump talking in 1 minute. So, I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to have a hard time trusting any follow through, I think, at least in New York AM. So that's kind of where we're at. Definitely high resistance to the upside. An inversion here could signal a retrace. It's just kind of, it'd be counter trend, and that's what you always have to be cognizant of, is what is the underlying trend, and how are you formulating your trades around that. I'm not saying counter trend is unadvisable, but you just got to frame your trade around it. So for instance, in a counter trend, I'm not going to go for a full pull. I'm not looking for 100 points, 150 points. It'd be a sort of a base hit mentality with that, and then plan my risk accordingly. So we're gonna hang out a little bit longer, see what the market does, see what Trump says, and then we'll get on with our day.
Bearish change in the state now. Oh boy, what is going on here? Uh-oh. 11, right at 11 a.m. What? You don't say? I'll be a son of a gun. Look at us. Oh, wait. Do we go for the opening range gap, boys? I'm tempted. I'm tempted. We're not trading into a 15-minute inefficiency, even if we do go higher. Ultimately, I don't hate the idea of a short into discount, at least this fair value gap. Perhaps opening range gap below this low. Hmm. 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 Ouch. 30-minute gap. Let's put a little line there. That'd be a good break-even level. In the event of a short. Where's it open? Hmm. Hmm. I don't hate it. I don't know if I love it either, but I don't hate it. mm. I'm going to watch this 2-minute. I feel like this chart looks the cleanest. I am not in anything yet, by the way, for the record. We are retesting the CISD of the 15-minute. I think I want to see this gap. If we start showing respect here, I might give her a whirl. Oh, man. Mm. Mm. I'm not in yet. I'm tempted, but not in yet. And perhaps my patience will save me a loss if this just keeps going higher. So that'd be cool. But I'm looking at this. I'm watching it closely. Making a list, checking it twice. Trying to find out if NQ wants to be naughty or nice. And then yeah, I might enter this short. I might not. No fuck. No, Trump doesn't talk till tomorrow. Unless I'm missing something, Light Brigade. Somebody said that earlier that Trump speaks at 11. On the Forex Factory calendar, he says he speaks at 11 tomorrow. Let me know if I missed something though. Is there like a new press conference or headline or something that I didn't see? Yeah, this is kind of pushing up a little higher, possibly. We're tapping into this 5-minute little inefficiency here. I'm going to kind of avert my attention to this now. We got 3 minutes left on this. So far, I think this could just be liquidity run to keep pushing higher now that the way that this is starting to form. So could change in the next few minutes, but what time is it? Yeah, 11:07 already. So yeah, really in this macro, if you frame it like that, I think this most likely does go higher now. Yeah. Here's your bullish breaker as well. This is actually forming a bullish unicorn here on the 1 minute. I'm gonna tape read this. I'm tape reading it because I can make an argument for both sides at the moment. 15-minute order block here, but this internally looks bullish. I'm gonna tape read this and just see if we come take out this high or not. But is this a wick on? It's a big five. It's that big 5-minute wick manipulation from earlier. The consequent encroachment.
Okay, we're gonna mark out this SIBI here. Looking for a 5-minute close above as an inversion, as indication that the market wants to see continued upside. So usually we get some tomfoolery with this, so we'll see what it does. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting.
The short bias was framed off of possible short bias was framed off of this 15-minute. Look at this shit. Tricky, man. Tricky. Oh, Fuck. My bad. Yeah, I had the wrong scene selected. The 15-minute, that's what I was talking about. This is what that possible short was based off of. $11, $12. Yeah, I just
I need to make an amendment here. Trump is not talking at 11. That is 11 tomorrow. I missed the Thursday part. I'm not really sure why Financial Juice ran it across the news ticker today, if it's tomorrow, but that is material today. So looked like a little bit of some trickery there, and I do notice this happen, especially on poor price action days or in poor price action conditions. Sometimes it'll come up and inverse like a 5-minute gap, even just a little bit, and as soon as it does, it's like they just want to trap people long, and then they just drop the bottom out of it, or vice versa. So, I think it all comes down to just making sure you're trading in good conditions, being able to recognize bad conditions. And if you look at this right here, if you follow my cursor, high, low, high, low, high, lower, low, it's looking very seek and destroy here. So, something just to keep in mind. Just not great conditions for the morning. That 5-minute busy is really holding well. I would say if that breaks, price ideas might be lower. Just because there's been so much resistance there, it's held us up so well that it's kind of like when the dam breaks, it all goes at once. So we'll see what happens. Still holding up very well, and remember, we are in a bullish, as I mentioned earlier, we're still in bullish order flow, so we don't really want to put too much stock in a counter trend trade. And then we got this hourly down here below us, so that's something to keep in mind and consider, somewhere down there in the 70s, mid 70s, so mid 970s, pardon me. So I would certainly, especially because of how it is and at what time it formed, I would certainly expect a revisit of that before heading higher, especially given the conditions, high resistance conditions we've been seeing. The problem is that my condition for lower is just a little bit too close to that 1 hour gap. The 5-minute gap ends at, somewhere around 88, and the 1 hour begins at 76. So it's just like, it's not enough to really do anything with. And so more likely what I'll be looking for is a run down into that 1 hour and then a 5-minute inverse on the way back up to look for higher prices. Just kind of chopping around, not giving us much to work with here. Yes, looking pretty ugly on the 5. No 15 to work off of at all until down here. So kind of a crappy day for an inaugural live stream, huh? Okay, let's watch this gap here. Did we inverse that? Nope. Parked it right at the top like they do. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Well, never mind. Potential BPR forming here. Hope we get this inverse. But, I don't know. The price action's so bad. Where are we at on ESH? Oh, I'm marking up ESH, aren't I? Oops. All right, where are we at on ESH? Oh, we got a. Oh. We have a SMT. I'm gonna go ahead and hop
Order
in long
filled.
there. Yeah, sorry guys, I was not very quick on my toes. Pretty good little SMT off the bottom um, of NQ and ES. So the problem is we're just not moving very well. So I took super light. I'm in at 24. I gotta stop at 6. We do have a macro coming up technically at 11:20 or 10:20. Yeah, 11:20. I'll tell you what. I'm not even gonna put a limit in. I'm just gonna go break even if and when we get to the highs. Probably better bounce out to the 5 and see what we're doing, where we're at. Make sure we're not missing anything. Yeah, it's a little bit weaker, as indicated by the SMT, but I'll be interested to see if you can hear my kids come through on the live stream downstairs hollering. Yeah, this is just kind of ugly, boys and girls. Let's bounce out to the 4-hour here and see. Yeah, I mean, So I'm just in with one micro. The reason for the light size is just the day. Um, it's still a no news Wednesday. We've had really high resistance conditions, pretty poor price action. There's just no reason to put on a lot of risk, and this would be my first trade of the week. So, I'm just trying to get a W um, start it off here, and it's good for the psychology too, because if it loses, like it's not that big a deal. I don't necessarily care very much because it'd be like a 30 something dollar loss. So from where I entered, it's only an 18 point, close to 19 point TP for TP1. So again, what I'm going to do is just hope for some higher price ideas and go break even after we hit the relative high, or I guess high a day, and see where it could potentially take us. Now, keep in mind, this is not a great reaction. We could still very much get stopped out of this, but I'm just kind of letting y'all know my thought process. I like a gap fill, probably 4-hour gap fill up there at 71. But we just don't have a lot of oomph today either, it doesn't seem. So, that might be a little bit of a lofty expectation. We'll see. I mean, it's not one to, it's just completely, it's like it's stuck running in mud or something. But usually what accompanies that is one quick burst, and then, it's either off to the races or a reversal. So we shall see. Oh boy. Boy, that's ugly. Ugly reaction right there. It's about a 1-to-1 on the TP to TP1 for me, based on where my stop's at currently at the sixes. So, RR, you're looking for 50%. So you need at 1-to-1. So you need, call it whatever, 55, 60 to be profitable. So I tend to favor the higher RR setups. And when I'm talking about RR, especially if you're partialing or you're moving to break even, I'm talking about to TP1, because that's your benchmark, especially if you're going break even or taking a partial. It's because you could have lost a trade before you got to TP1. So your RR pretty much has to be based on your TP1, not, holding runners, because again, that just doesn't make sense as far as if the trade goes against you immediately. All right, we're pushing higher here. 15-point trade so far. Okay, there's high day, so we'll probably take the risk off here. And just kind of see where it takes us. ES did not take high day. I'm probably going to go up there at 70. See if we can get a nice push. That'd give me I don't know. That'd give me a pretty good TP. And keep in mind, I am sized super light, but I'm really happy with that trade overall. I mean, we were patient, waited all morning for a setup, finally got a good retracement, and I'm on the one. Let me bounce out. Sorry, I'm on my other screen. Um, I mean, even if we get stopped at break even, I'm happy with this trade because it was a good take. I mean, we waited for a setup to present itself, and so here I am on the 5 minute on NQ, and we got this sharp sort of retracement back down into this 5 minute gap that's been holding us up all day. Now, some of y'all will wonder, okay, well, why didn't you take on this 5 minute inverse? And honestly, it's probably just a screen time thing. It, you know, price conditions were not great. And actually, this retracement happened before, I mean, pretty fast before I probably would have been able to get into a trade anyway. So now, depending on where your stop is, this trade still potentially works. I wouldn't have taken it because I wouldn't have set my stop this low because the RR would have been off. But if you set it at relative low, it's a 35-ish point stop if you go on the break of the inverse. And so, this still potentially pans out depending on where your stop is. It probably would not have panned out for me. And so we got this little fake manipulation back down. And then what I wanted to see was this BPR to get run through. Sorry, again, I'm on my other screen. I'm new to this, so it takes a little bit to get used to. So the BPR I was looking at was this 1 minute BPR. And as soon as that got ran through and inversed, accompanied with, and I didn't notice this until as soon as I took the trade, this SMT off the bottom with ES. Once that happened, I was in immediately, again at the 24s. And so it was just kind of a no-brainer trade for me. And now, again, we can get stop break even, certainly, and likely will because we've been in sort of seek and destroy conditions. But I'm just looking for a little bit bigger pool out of this trade, especially because it's with the trend. There is a little bit of liquidity up top, but again, as we discussed this morning in our pre-market analysis, we did take a pretty big objective overnight right here at the that January 6th, 10 o'clock, 4-hour candle. So, um, you know, expectations were low for the day anyway, and then this high resistance price action just sort of affirmed that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We may try for that 110 pull. I don't know. Tough to get greedy on a day like this. But again, really happy with the trade. Really happy with the patience. I mean, this is already kind of a 30. It's been a 30-point trade already. That's good. If I did that every day, I'd be super happy. Granted, I generally size a little bit bigger than this, and that's something I'm going to be working on in the new year. Is my sizing. I just find it so much easier and so much less stress to go super low, super small size, especially in these sorts of conditions. And so that'll be what I work on this year is adding a little more size and trying to boost those numbers a little bit. But anyway, guys, I'll probably end the stream here. I'm still in this trade, but actually, I'll probably just keep it on and have it on in the background, and we'll see if we can get this thing to run a little bit. But appreciate y'all for being here.
from the top of French Ridge in the Matuki-Tuki Valley of New Zealand. This is the first place I ever went backpacking in the country, and I haven't been back in 27 years, so it's just as hard as I remember it when I was 23. Okay, we're going to continue on with the Trump 2.0 series today, specifically the sort of domestic issues that are going to be waiting for the president. Really, this is a China situation, but from an economic point of view rather than a geopolitical one. Let's review. China's dying. Birth rate has dropped by over half in the last 6 years. They now have more people over age 50 than under, and their workforce is in the early stages of collapse. Their population has been in a state of collapse for over 20 years, but when you run out of people age 0 to 20, you really don't feel it in your consumption or your investment or your tax base. You're just paying for less education. Well, that has now been going on for 45 years, and they're running out of new people to bring into the system. At the same time, they print currency like mad. Like, you know, what the gold bugs say that the U.S. Federal Reserve does, China actually does, but like times 5. They expand their money supply by about 500% more than the United States has on a monthly basis. And so that drives up asset prices, which makes it more difficult for the young people to do anything, because think about if everyone in the United States was over 40 was buying a vacation home, how hard it would be to start out if you were in your 20s. Now apply that to China. So you've got all this massive real estate build and absolutely no chance that someone young can get in on it. So we are looking at a national collapse here, and a population collapse, and probably a civilizational collapse. The only question is time frame. If I was to put a date on that, and yes, putting dates on things like that is hard, and that is the most difficult part of what I do. I would expect a complete economic breakdown within a decade, and then probably a national breakdown less than 10 years after that. Anyway, one way or the other, the Han ethnicity is not going to survive this century. Enter Donald Trump. Donald Trump absolutely is raring to pick a fight with the Chinese on trade issues. He's been talking about massive tariffs to stack on top. He and Biden actually are pretty close together on these issues. Trump enacted a lot of selective tariffs on specific items as well as blanket tariffs. Biden didn't peel any of those back. Biden went in and did tech tariffs to prevent technology transfer. And now that Trump is back, I find it very unlikely that he's going to peel back anything that Biden did. If anything, he's going to double down on it. So the way that China has traditionally dealt with its demographic collapse and making sure that the economy can go is, again, printing lots of currency, building lots of industrial plant, and then exporting it. Well, under Trump that worked. But it's no longer working under Biden, because Biden has basically marshaled the entire Western alliance to act against things like tech transfer and most notably electric vehicles and automotives. And so the Chinese don't have any place to dump it. It's gotten so bad that even the Russians and the Brazilians and the Turks are basically blocking Chinese imports. So we have all this new productive capacity coming online in China, nowhere to send it. We're getting an inflationary and a deflationary pulse in China at the same time, which is like the worst kind of bad. Anyway, bottom line is that Trump is very clearly wanting to pick a trade fight, but it doesn't appear that his incoming administration has given any thought to what happens should he win. China is the workshop of the world, and while there are certainly sectors that Americans would like to keep the Chinese out of, they are the single largest presence in almost every industrial sector, and their sudden disappearance, and it probably will be sudden because it will be involving a degree of government and economic collapse. Then what? Because we still need this stuff, and if the Chinese are incapable of building it suddenly, we are in a very, very new sort of economic cycle. So, you would fix this by massively expanding the industrial plant and the manufacturing base in the United States. But you don't do that quickly, you don't do it overnight, and you don't do it cheaply. So the smart play, if you're looking for recommendations here, is to take whatever income comes in from tariffs, regardless of how they're sourced, and actually use them to underwrite the construction of an industrial plant, starting in industrial processing, things like turning bauxite into aluminum, things like steel, and then moving into more and more sophisticated manufacturing. That requires a degree of organizational build-out that the United States doesn't have. The United States hasn't had an industrial policy like that since World War II. Luckily, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are the only two Americans left alive who remember any of that day. Yes, they're about the same age. So hopefully somebody on Team Trump will know what to do with that. But we're starting from almost scratch. Everything that the Biden administration did along that path was dealing with environmental issues in some way, EVs, solar panels, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that was bad, but that's just one very, very narrow niche for what is necessary to be done. We need a multi-trillion-dollar build out as quickly as possible. Second, powering it. It's not that the United States needs oil or natural gas. We are awash in that. And energy policy under Trump suggests that he wants to build up that advantage even more. The problem is electricity. It takes a lot of power to stamp and mold and move things that you don't need when you're basically doing digital work. So we need to expand the grid on a nationwide basis by at least half, and places that are likely to see the biggest industrial build-out, places like the Rocky Mountains, the Classic South, and Texas, they probably need to double the grid within 5 years, which is just a massive task. But I haven't seen anyone from Team Trump even breathe the word electricity when discussing the energy situation. It's all about oil, it's all about natural gas, it's even about taking things like windmills out of the equation, which I think would be unwise since, Texas gets 15% of their electricity from wind now. The easiest way, there's nothing easy about it, but the easiest way to do that is to make it much, much easier for electrical cooperatives and electric companies to import and export power across jurisdictional boundaries, whether that is across the seams that separate the three big grids in the United States, whether it's among states, whether it's within states that cross from, say, a co-op to a city's power system. We need everyone who has a competitive advantage, whether it's in capital, in labor, in sourcing because of green tech, and
Well, here's what we look like on a 1 minute, if you guys are wondering, how the trade's playing out, sort of in this consolidation just under our take profit. So hopefully this is the last push. Get up there and limit us out, but we will see. Again, we're break even on this. Went break even after these relative high or high day was taken out. Actually, is when we went break even just for a risk off. Just it today was so high resistance and such poor price action that it's just better safe than sorry. Even after a 20 point, it was only a 20 points to the first TP, but I think it was prudent. So now I'm just looking for a little bit more of a run. We may go ahead and take that off because I think that's a 4-hour gap fill, and well, not quite. Not quite. What do we got? We got one more push in us. Come on. Come on. One more big run. Let's go. One last shakeout, perhaps. Shoot. That is looking like it's all she's gonna rote, boys and girls. We got pretty close to that 4-hour gap fill. Well, we're at 130 bips or so up on the Nasdaq, and so I don't know how much more steam it's got, but we'll hold on tight here. Come on, big push. Big push here. Trying to be patient. I'm not gonna get this too much longer though. I think pop back over the 1 minute so you guys can see better. Just this kind of sloppy consolidation. We are in a macro, in the 1150 sort of lunch macro, so hopefully that'll send us up to that high. This is pretty brutal, though, isn't it?
Order
Take
filled.
that off. So what was that? A 45 point trade. That's not too bad. Watch, it'll pop right up now. It's a pretty good day, so I'm happy with that. Let's see if it pops up where we wanted it. Well, anyway, that'll do it for this live stream. Appreciate anybody that potentially joined or may have watched this after the fact. And we'll just plan on doing especially another one, especially tomorrow, because we should have some high impact news in the form of initial jobless claims. So should expect a little bit better of a New York of an AM session in the morning. So we'll see what it does. But again, appreciate everybody, anybody that watched this, and we'll talk to you soon.